Good Wednesday afternoon, everybody. Welcome into the Porch, a Volquest.com baseball podcast presented by Spivey King and Spivey LLP. If you got a problem, let them find a solution for you. T and Trial Lawyers. Go check them out at Spivey King and Spivey LLP.com. Got a lot to get into here today. Charlie Taylor going to join me here in about 10, 15 minutes or so. We have about a 22-minute conversation looking back primarily at last week in the series sweep over the Florida Gators. And looking ahead to kind of flipping the switch going on the road in SEC play. So stay tuned for that. Charlie Taylor coming up in about 15, 20 minutes. Got to dissect the midweek loss. You know, it's going to happen at some point, right? I mean, there's a midweek loss, sometimes two throughout the season. That's not the end of the world. Going to talk about that here in a moment and get you set for Tennessee and Alabama. Let you know all that you need to know about the Alabama Crimson Tide and a really, really good shortstop by the name of Justin LeBron. That's going to challenge Tennessee, no doubt. Tied for the national lead in home runs and leading the country with 45 RBIs. So all that and more coming up here on the Porch over the next little bit. Let's go ahead and start with the Tuesday loss. It's fresh on the mind, and I recorded with, because it's a short, condensed week, I recorded with Charlie Taylor before the Tuesday loss, and I would have asked him certainly about kind of how that goes and how you pick yourself up off the mat and all that. But it's bound to happen at some point. You don't want it to happen, but a midweek loss is not the end of the world. And I was I was actually kind of surprised, the level-headedness, right, of the GQ the other night. I mean, there were some people that were frustrated, and that's fine. You never want to see your favorite team lose. But there were no, this team doesn't care, the world's ending. I mean, it's a baseball game, and Tennessee plays 70 of them a year if you're lucky. And in 2023, team that went to Omaha, of course, they had to turn things on big time in SEC play against Vanderbilt after starting 5-10 in conference play. You lost to Boston College, you lost to Tennessee Tech. In 2022, we remember Tennessee Tech snapped the longest win streak in Tennessee program history. That was in a midweek game. Last year, it was Lipscomb. It had something about the color yellow, excluding Boston College. Something about the color yellow, right? But nonetheless, ETSU's a good team, and it's not just Tennessee, right? I mean, you look around the Southeastern Conference and you see these teams, really good teams, losing every now and again to a midweek club. Why? Well, because I don't want to say it's not real baseball, because that's not true, but the pitching is not, it's not what you would see on a weekend, is I guess the easiest way to phrase that. You are throwing a different guy every single inning. Tennessee on Tuesday night threw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pitchers. It didn't exactly equate to one every single inning, but pretty much, right? If you throw 9 pitchers in a baseball game, you're usually not winning that baseball game on a weekend, right? But that's what midweeks are. You want to work in guys who need to get work, guys who deserve to play, guys who are looking to earn more opportunities on the weekend. What up, Braden Krenzel? I thought he looked fantastic the other night. So the pitching isn't what you would see on the weekend. Now, as far as, leaving runners in scoring position and leaving runners on base, and I mean, Tennessee was not very good with runners in scoring position on the night. Tennessee was 2 for 12 against ETSU, 167 with runners in scoring position. Tennessee was 2 for 21 with runners on base. So, I mean, all that is, that's baseball, right? I mean, you're pretty much not your exact starting lineup, but the majority of your starters were in the starting lineup. And so, I mean, that's frustrating. But at the end of the day, baseball is baseball. You don't go undefeated in baseball, okay? Baseball is not football. And so many times I'm guilty of it as well, kind of having a football mindset with baseball sometimes. But that's just not how it works. So, not the end of the world. Tennessee certainly didn't let the Lipscomb midweek loss last year derail them from winning a national championship. Tennessee didn't let 2 midweek losses in 2023 keep them from going to Omaha. Just kind of is what it is. But I will say this, every now and again, with your pitching plans the way they are, with throwing so many different guys, you get a team that's really hot at the plate. You get a team that flat out swing it, like ETSU was on Tuesday night. They can get you. And this had the screaming trap game all week long, okay? So you had a short week, short turnaround from Sunday, which is normal, short turnaround from Tuesday night to they were leaving today on a Wednesday to go down, to Alabama, have a practice on Wednesday nights, okay, and then play Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. This screamed trap game. Tennessee, the number one consensus team in America now with D1 baseball putting the Vols up there. And I'm not saying Tennessee goes and handles business this weekend. I'm not saying Tennessee will drop from that number one ranking, but that's not the end all be all right now. I mean, we're barely into SEC play right now, but this just had the makings of, it's going to be a tough one. I said it in the game thread. A number of us were talking about it in the game thread. I remember I was joking around with Sean Barrows, the SID over at Tennessee, and I texted him back when I got my seat in the press box, and I said, hey, not that I think Tennessee will need it, but is there a run rule? And he said yes. And so you just kind of knew you were going to be in a dogfight. And that game started off gross, right? I mean, Tennessee allowed, a run in the first inning after an error from Hunter Ensley in center field, and then Tennessee got 2 runs in the bottom half of the frame after 2 quick outs, and the second baseman just couldn't field a ball, and just some sloppy play all around. But, ETSU, who's one of the better home run hitting teams in the country, they got Tennessee a couple different times. 4 home runs on the night, one of which in the top of the 9th inning off Ryan Combs to extend the game. Yeah, and I'm looking at the wrong thing here. Yeah, 4 home runs on the night, a 2-run shot in the 9th inning to extend the game, tie the game at 6-all, and then in the top of the 10th off Tanner Franklin, who I thought responded pretty well and looked pretty good. And now Tony Vitello kind of echoed those comments after the game, saying Tanner Franklin looked a lot better on Tuesday night. You had the guy that's tied with Justin LeBron, by the way, and Garrett Gallagher for the country lead in home runs, square up a 97-mile-per-hour fastball. And advantage hitter, right? I mean, it was one pitch, and it's tough. Tennessee had to battle from behind pretty much the entire game. Took that brief 2-1 lead in the first inning, and then we're trailing 4-2, and then Gavin Keelan had a solo home run that brought us within 4-3, and then Hunter Ensley had the RBI double that tied the game or actually gave Tennessee the lead, and then Hunter Ensley tied the game again. I mean, Hunter Ensley's heroics in 7 and 8 innings the other night was really, really cool. But overall, it stinks. You never want to lose, but certainly not the end of the world. And I thought Hunter Ensley had a good game. He was 3 for 4. Gavin Keelan had a good game, 2 for 5 with that home run. Cannon Peebles had a good double at one point in the time of the game, but overall there wasn't a whole lot of hitting in this baseball game. Outside of Hunter Ensley, who was 4 for 6, Gavin Keelan, who was 2 for 5, and Cannon Peebles, who was 1 for 4. Nobody else had a hit. I mean, Tennessee only had 7 hits on the day, so that's kind of the frustrating part. Austin Breelove, minus that error in the first inning, I thought he looked fine. Braden Sharp gave up a home run. That was just one swing. Crabtree didn't look fantastic. He only pitched a third of an inning, gave up 2 runs, had a walk, had a 1 extra base hit as well, and that was the home run, obviously. So that wasn't fantastic. Austin Hundley, he started the season off super hot, hasn't pitched as well since, but he's certainly going to continue to get some chances. Binky, I thought, came back and looked really, really good, right? He pitched against Hofstra, been dealing with soreness the last couple of weeks, and he came back, pitched 2 innings, had 1 walk, no strikeouts, faced 7 batters, gave up 1 hit, looked really good. So that was a good sign to have Andrew Binky back in the fold. And Andrew Binky and Dylan Lloyd, those are 2 lefties, bridge the gap type players on the weekends, use them multiple times. And of course, Lloyd has more versatility than Binky does, but Binky's going to be counted on. So it was really, really good to see him back in the fold on Tuesday nights. Bryson Thacker, I thought, looked pretty good, had a walk, but had 2 strikeouts. That was his collegiate debut, 2/3 of an inning, so I thought that was really, really good to see. Braden Krenzel was the story on the mound for me the other night. 2 innings and a third, 2 strikeouts, no walks, which was big. Tennessee had 4 walks on the night, 1 hit batsman, too many free passes. But Braden Krenzel, who didn't pitch in the fall, just continues to look really, really good this spring. And Tony Vitello kind of said, hey, he earned some innings on the weekend. So I'll be intrigued to kind of see what that looks like. And then you get to Ryan Combs, gave up the home run, the 2-run shot, did have a strikeout. He just kind of looked a little shaky. And then that's fine. You got to work through it. You can't think Aaron when you see Ryan go out there. He's his own guy, even though they have similar walk-up music and a very similar delivery. He's got to work through some things. But I believe that's his second blown save of the season, or at least second lead given up late in the game. And then I've already spoke on Tanner Franklin. So pitching wasn't fantastic. Hitting certainly, outside of a couple of guys, really 2 guys, Hunter Ensley and Gavin Keelan, was not good on the night. And all that sums up into a loss in midweek, and that's okay. 7-6 ETSU is a solid team, and Tennessee will look to bounce back and regroup this weekend. Shortened weekend. Series getting going tomorrow on a Thursday at Alabama, who's surging right now. Number 12 in the country. Preseason, left out of the rankings, did receive votes, but went from unranked to all the way up to number 12 right now, per the D1 baseball poll, and they're playing some good baseball right now, and it's interesting, kind of a full circle moment for Tennessee. The last time Tennessee dropped a series was at Alabama last year to begin SEC play. The last time Tennessee lost back-to-back games at Alabama, first series, SEC series last year. And then, of course, Tennessee went on and did what all it did last year. And so far, beginning this year, off to the 20-0 start with a sweep of Florida this past weekend. And then that brought us to Tuesday. Alabama's going to be motivated. Coming off the road, swept Texas A&M. And I know A&M's kind of down per se, but still so much talent on that roster. Despite losing Gavin Grohovac for the year, so much talent on that roster. Alabama's feeling pretty good about themselves right now, and it should. Pitching's been the story for Alabama so far. So many questions coming into the season about who's going to surround, Quick in that starting rotation, or Adams, I should say, I guess. So many questions about not only the starting rotation, but who are some guys they can count on in the bullpen. But so far, the story for Alabama, outside of Justin LeBron, has been the pitching for the Crimson Tide. 3.20 ERA. Okay, all three of their weekend starters have started all three weekend games, so all 5 weeks of the season. Zane Adams, a lefty on Friday nights. Riley Quick, a righty. Zane Adams, a lefty on Friday nights. Riley Quick, a righty on Saturdays, and Bobby Alcock, a righty on Sundays. Of course, this weekend it's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Alcock shared Pitcher of the Week honors with Marcus Phillips, and that was after a 7-inning, no run, 4-hit, 8 strikeout, 2 walk on 95 pitches performance on the road at A&M last week. So he's pitching really, really well. So the starting rotation's been phenomenal. Quick's got a 1.33 ERA. Adams has got a 3.00 ERA. Bobby Alcock's got a 3.60 ERA. You got a 4-0 record, 3-0 record, 3-0 record. It's been really solid, really solid. The bullpen's been pretty good as well. You have Carson Osmer, who's a righty. He leads the team with saves, 5 saves, 11 innings and a third, 9 appearances. So he's clearly a back end of the bullpen type guy. You've got Braylon Myers, who's a righty, 1.32 ERA, 8 appearances, 13 innings and 2/3. I mean, they've got a couple of guys that they use pretty heavily there. And so far, it's been really, really good. A 3.20 ERA with 203 strikeouts and 79 walks. So Tennessee's bats, they better snap out of the little funk that they're in right now, because they're going to be challenged. No ifs, ands, buts about it on the road at Alabama this weekend. You look at the lineup, and again, worth mentioning, 21-1 to the record for Alabama, 3-0 in conference, swept A&M on the road last week. The lone loss for the Crimson Tide so far this year was 2 Sundays ago, Game 3 against Presbyterian in non-conference play. Cade Snell, right fielder, I believe. Yeah, leading the way with a 4.13 batting average for Alabama. Will Hodo, the designated hitter, is second with 3.83. And then we'll start really with Justin LeBron. 3.60 average, third highest average on the team. 12 home runs, all right? That's tied for the National League with the ETSU guy. 45 ribbies. That is the national, he's number 1 in the country in terms of runs batted in. That's really impressive. He scored 30 runs. He swiped 5 of 6 bags. His slugging percentage leads the team. His OBP is 4th on the team, it looks like. Oh, excuse me, it's 3rd on the team. And he's fields a really, really good position at short. Super sophomore, really kind of burst on the scene a season ago. A double machine as well. Already 6 doubles on the season this year. Justin LeBron is going to be the guy to watch out for. He hits second in the order, but he's certainly the guy to look out for. Probably one of the best players in the SEC, and certainly statistically right now, one of the best power hitters in the country. So Justin LeBron's one to look out for. Richie Bonamalo Jr., I believe he's the left fielder. He's got a 3.47 average. Jason Torres, a 3.10 average. Bryce Fowler, who's an outfielder, 2.78 average, leadoff man. He's stolen 9 bases. They don't play many guys. They play 8 guys, 2 catchers, and a couple of guys that do pinch hits. I mean, pretty much what your starting lineup is who you are minus a catcher, where they play 2. Brady Neal, a name that we recognize has been playing in this league for a couple of years now. Only hit 176 beginning this year. Of course, he's the starting catcher for Alabama. So just as impressive as the pitching's been so far, the offense, 323 is the average. Let me look up here on my notes here. The offense has 47 home runs on the year. That is fourth nationally. A team batting average of 323. That's number 17 in the country right now. They've stolen 28 bags on 32 attempts in 22 games played. So for as impressive as the arms have been so far, the bats have been pretty good. But I mean, we can have the same conversation every single week, right? It's SEC baseball. There are good teams every single week, and Alabama has been a surprisingly good team to begin the season. And obviously, Tennessee knows going on the road it's not easy playing there, as it witnessed last week. So I'm not saying Tuesday's loss was a good thing. You never want to lose a game. I'm not saying Tennessee needed to lose, but Tony Vitello kind of painted that picture, talking about guys like me. You know, it's like it's been all positive, it's been all great, it's been all rave reviews so far. Everybody's saying how good we are. We're going to find out how good we are. How do you bounce back going on the road in this league to a team that beat us last year in a two games out of a 3-game series? So I thought that was kind of good. I mean, if anything, Tennessee's going to be motivated. Tennessee's going to be, or you hope, Tennessee's certainly going to be motivated and ready to go to get back into the win column. And no reason to believe that the number 1 ranked team in the country is not capable of doing just that and picking up a series win. So Phillips on Friday, Liam Doyle on Thursday this week, and I still think it's going to be Tegan Coons. The question for me is, like, Tony, why didn't you let him go on Sunday? Clearly he was on a pitch count. Clearly they said one time through the order, then they took him out. He looked really good, and as I wrote in the 3-2-1, I mean, he didn't even throw as many pitches this past Sunday that he did 2 Sundays ago in Houston. Let him go a little bit. I mean, I would have guys ready to go, like the Franklins, like the the Loys, potentially a Binky, Arvinson. I've had them ready to roll, but man, I'd run with Tegan Coons in Game 3 for as long as he can, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not saying 7-8 innings. I don't think he'll last that long, but nothing wrong with a 4 or 5 inning start on a Sunday. So I'll be intrigued to see kind of how they play that. He did not announce Tegan Coons as the Game 3 starter, but depending on how the weekend goes, it's probably, it wouldn't shock me because he's already gotten 2 starts and he started last weekend. So we will see. Also, interesting, something to look at as well. Will Tanner Franklin be the first out of the bullpen Friday night behind Liam Doyle? Typically, they've packaged those 2 players together on Friday nights. Tanner Franklin pitched on Tuesday because he needed to. He needed to get some positive vibes, if you will, some confidence. Could you see a Liam Doyle to a Bridge, of a Loy, a Binky, a somebody, to a Snead to get that win Thursday night? And I'm all for getting the win on Thursday night and starting the weekend off the right way. And having Snead as the ace in the hole just makes so much sense. Say Doyle goes 6 innings, you bring in a Bridge to get a guy out, or maybe an out or 2, and then you bring Snead in to get the final 2 innings and 2/3, or 2 innings and a third, or whatever. That's a winning formula. And then you go with Phillips, and you figure it out the rest of the way. You're lucky, though, because the rest of the way, in terms of figuring out for you, Tennessee, is you got all this talent at your disposal, whereas other teams are like, oh boy, what do I do here? So I'll be intrigued to kind of see what the pitching plan is behind Doyle on a Thursday night, because Franklin pitched on Tuesday, and he needed to pitch on Tuesday. Again, I know he gave up that home run, but I'm like Tony Vitello in postgame. I thought he looked much better. I thought he was attacking hitters. I thought the velo looked pretty good. Just trying to get some confidence going the right way. All right, what does Charlie Taylor have to say about last weekend's sweep over Florida and what's to come at Alabama this weekend as Tennessee flips the script to the road in SEC play? All that and more with Charlie Taylor coming up next as we continue on the porch. But first, I want to tell you about Spivey King and Spivey LLP, proud presenting sponsors of the show. Matthew A. Spivey, J. Matt King, Richard A. Spivey. If you got a problem, let them find a solution for you. T and trial lawyers specialize in criminal defense, family law, and personal injury. Example of which can be DUI, assault, personal injury such as car wrecks, accidents. 80 years of combined experience. Spivey King and Spivey LLP provides representation throughout state and federal courts in Northeast Tennessee. The firm's got a vast amount of trial experience. This practice has been in place for 43 years with this specific partnership since 2012, while also having partners who are energized for today's modern legal demands. Practicing primarily in Northeast Tennessee, the Tri-Cities of Sullivan County, as well as Hawkins County, Washington County, and surrounding areas. The firm has won multiple awards, who has attorneys that have been rated by super lawyers with Mid-South real experience. Whether you've been injured in a car accident, need help with a divorce, help with custody of your children, or have been accused of a crime, Spivey King and Spivey LLP can help you. Go see him in person at 142 Cherokee Street, Kingsport, Tennessee. Dial this number for a free consultation, 423-245-4185. That is 423-245-4185. Or check him out online at SpiveyKingandSpiveyLLP.com. You got a problem? Let them find a solution for you. TN Trial Lawyers. Charlie Taylor back here on the porch following Tennessee's 3-0 start to SEC play, sweeping the Florida Gators. Charlie, which SEC series did you guys really get up for? Because, I mean, Tennessee's got several rivals, right? And maybe depending on what sport, it could be a little bit more. I mean, most of the fans will say Alabama, of course, but, Florida's one of those series that you get up for every single year as well. Which series kind of meant the most to you when you played? I know you're going to say all of them, but which one kind of meant the most a little bit more, I guess?
Yeah, I was definitely going to say all of them, but I mean, it the SEC is such a tough league. Everywhere, every week you go on the road or at home, you're probably playing a team that's got a number next to their name. They're probably ranked in the top 25, just the way the league, how strong the league is these days. But I mean, there's always a little extra juice when you're at Alex Box or maybe in Fayetteville and they're calling the Hogs. Just stuff like that always, gives you a little extra motivation.
Yeah, and Tennessee's going to be at both of those places here the next couple of weeks, just like you guys were in 2023. What'd you think about Tennessee against Florida, man? I mean, of course, it was. I kind of sat there on Sunday and I thought to myself, I was like, outside of one inning, Florida played really well this weekend. And like Kevin O'Sullivan was just so tired of it at the end of the weekend, and he was arguing with the umpire, and I thought he was going to get tossed. It was almost like he was begging to get tossed because he was just so frustrated. And he's probably sitting there thinking the same thing I was. Like outside of one inning on Saturday, Florida played really well, but it's leaving being swept, and that's kind of the frustrating thing about playing Tennessee. Tennessee just continues to punch and has another punch, and that's what you kind of saw this weekend.
Yeah, and I also think that, when Florida would walk somebody or hit a guy, or they had a good inning and then they come out and hit a guy and walk three in a row. Whenever they opened the door slightly for Tennessee, Tennessee kind of jumped in there and took advantage of it. But on the flip side, I thought Tennessee's defense was the story of the weekend for me. When there was a moment where you thought things could get out of hand. Gavin Keelan, Stone Lawless, Jay Abernathy is making a web gym, to shut the rally down.
I want to ask about all those guys, but since you are a catcher, let's go to Stone there. Stone got two starts this weekend, and I think as long as he continues to produce and everything, there's going to be more of not maybe a 50-50 split, but I mean he's going to play an awful lot, and Cannon of course is going to play. But as well as anybody, and Tony kind of said it the other night. Really, he didn't say this about shortstop, but the same applies for shortstop. Tennessee's just kind of been spoiled. In Tennessee, catching offense is a plus. I mean, you are there to catch and run a staff and play clean defense and control base runners and all that. And Cannon does such a great job in that regard. But anyway, Stone, man, he was throwing out base runners this weekend. He made that incredible play on the slow dribbler down the third base line. Had a single on Sunday's game. I was really impressed with Stone Lawless this weekend.
I was too. You kind of nailed it there. Coach Elander's three, main points for catchers are you're going to catch it, keep it in front, and control the running game in that order, and then anything offensively is a bonus. So a lot of times, Pav or me or Cal or Evan Russell would go out there and be kind of down on ourselves after maybe 0 for 4 with a couple strikeouts or something like that, and Coach E would say, "Did you catch it? Keep it in front, control the running game." And we'd kind of nod and say, "Yeah." And he'd say, "Well, that's a good game. You helped us
Yeah.
win." Um, and you don't have to worry about Stone or Peebs hitting. They're going to hit, as you saw this weekend. But the defense from Stone this weekend, and Peebs too, but specifically the one play, Stone going out there looking like an athlete, making the calling off the pitcher. I know Coach A likes the catchers going out there to get those in between balls. I don't think he is too comfortable with a lot of his pitchers fielding those. He won't, he always gets on us to go get those. So that fired me up a little bit.
Did you see him make some plays like that, last year in practice or in scrimmages or anything? I mean, obviously, you chuckle a little bit when you say athlete, but I mean, he's Division I catcher. I mean, he's going to be a professional catcher, like he's an athlete. But did you see that at all, in the past?
Yeah, I mean, and wearing number 27, he gives you flashes of Jordan Beck at times too, both Alabama boys as well. But I mean, he's a stud, and he, it comes from he goes just as hard in practice or in a scrimmage as he does in a game. So yeah, he's got practice doing things like that, and it shows when he makes a play like that.
You mentioned Jay Abernathy. One of my biggest takeaways this weekend was, I mean, he's backing up the hype, right? He's out there for so many reasons. He's got sneaky power. We haven't seen the power yet, but he's hit well. Okay, he runs so well, and he's a middle infielder that's converting to left field pretty well right now. He's already got 2 outfield assists. And before the second inning was over, right? He had an outfield assist, left field to home on Saturday, and then he had that play crashing into the wall. Had an RBI single on Friday. On Sunday, this is stuff that just doesn't show up in the box score, but he gets on first on a single from Stone, I believe. Yeah, he goes from first to third on a single to left field, and then he comes in and scores on an RBI ground out the next at bat. I mean, that doesn't show up in the box score, but it shows up as a run scored. He's doing so many things to help Tennessee win right now.
I'm glad you brought up the base running first to third. I mean, that was maybe my favorite play of the weekend.
Yeah.
They a lot of times in scrimmages in the fall and spring, we put on Coach Veal put on an automatic first to third on any ball to the outfield, and the whole premise is we want to see how much our base runners can stretch going from first to third, just get them reps doing that, but also get the outfielders some reps throwing the bases and trying to throw guys out. So and just to get our base runners in an aggressive mindset. So I mean, a ball like that to left field and a guy going first, third, you don't see that too often. And you could tell the left fielder kind of looked up and was a little shocked to see Jay going to third, and it affected the throw for sure. So his speed is game changing. It applies pressure on the defense, and you saw that this weekend.
Yeah, and I mean, like one of his best traits is obviously speed, and that's why I love him at the bottom of the order. I mean, so many times he leads off an inning or has a 1-out single or a 1-out walk or whatever, and it's just like, okay, flip it over. Dean got a base runner, got Will. I mean, that's why you have him at the bottom of the order. But the thing that's been most impressive to me is that, again, he's a shortstop. He's a second baseman, shortstop, playing left field. And Tony was, earlier in the season kind of talked about how he was surprised about his arm strength a little bit. Again, that's 2 outfield assists so far to begin the season. That catch into the wall that happened on Saturday, I saw him scale the wall in center field in the fall, man. I mean, he's just an athlete, I guess. I mean, I know coming up, if you're a baseball player, like you got to play all over. I get all that, but he's really impressed me with his taking to the outfield as quickly as he has.
Yeah, I mean the one play running into the wall that kind of epitomizes Tennessee baseball for me. The famous one with Inslee, obviously last June, but Inslee probably learns that from, me and him show up as freshmen and Drew Gilbert's out there in September. We're wearing shorts and the last guy on the depth chart hits one up against the wall and just, laid back batting practice. And he's out there running into the wall, pissed at himself when he drops one. So, he does those things. He has those habits. Hunter has that DNA in him, but he also probably watches Drew and is like, well, if our starting center fielder's doing that, maybe I should do that. So I think it's just something that's been ingrained in the culture, and not to take away from Jay and Hunter and these guys. But I mean, I think they see their teammates doing it and that it makes them want to do it to help their team win.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And seeing Hunter kind of go up there and kind of high five him after him, that was pretty cool to see. You brought back something that made me think about this. You're talking about in practice, going from first to third and all that. This isn't the same play, but the first and third base runners, guy takes off the second, and then you got that guy coming off third, and you saw it on Sunday where Florida stole a run essentially. I've seen Tennessee do that on the base pass so many times the last 3 years. I've seen you guys rep that in practice and in scrimmages so many times. Explain to me how you handle that defensively. You got base runners at first and third. You got two outs or one out, but two outs. This 2 out situation here. How do you take care of that to make sure that you get the out before the run scores?
Yeah, I thought both teams kind of had a similar play. I think it was after Jay went first to third, maybe, and Dean hit the grounder to third. I, Me and my dad were kind of sitting there thinking maybe that guy could have gone home with it and had a chance, but
I thought he should have. Yeah,
yeah. And then Tennessee, you say, well, why are you letting the run score there and taking the out? I think early on in the game, it's you got to get 27 outs and they're important. And if you start giving them away, trying to make the hero play, the Steph Curry point guard play, you might regret that later in the game. So that's Coach V is big on you always want to take your outs when you get them. Now, obviously, certain situations later in the game dictate um, runs being important and you want to not let them score. But I'm fine with both teams. They're just kind of taking their out. And I thought it was a clean throw down to second base. And then they took their out and went in and hit.
let's go to the pitcher's mound here. We'll start with Friday nights. Now let's start with the story of the weekend. Another one of those, and that's Marcus Phillips. Man, I mean, man, complete game, shutout, 7 innings, and that was not the plan to be a complete game because I don't think he was going to pitch the 8th inning. But Tennessee exploded for 9 runs there, so it didn't matter. He was hitting 95 on the radar gun in the 7th inning. He didn't have one of those stretches where he retired like 8 or 9 in a row, but I mean, he was just so efficient. I think he gave up 5 hits, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, 110 pitches. Movement was there. He is continuing to just show why Tennessee has faith in him as a starting pitcher and showing why scouts just love him, coming up with the MLB draft. He was really impressive on Saturday. That was, I mean, you're not going to get that version of himself every weekend, but if you get a guy that you can depend on for 5, 6 innings every single weekend in this league, man, Tennessee's in good shape.
Yeah, and I mean the biggest thing for me is how much he was attacking hitters. I mean, he's going to get hit at some point. It's everybody gets hit. It's the SEC. These guys are too good to just go through completely unscathed. But you know, when you're attacking guys like that and you give up, Chad Dallas was a good one for me. He went after guys all the time, and maybe he'd give up a huge home run that everybody would, it would be 450 feet, but it's only one run at the end of the day. Solo homers don't beat you, and he was the way he was going after those hitters and just letting his stuff work was the best I've seen from him.
So what's different about him from last year to this year? And I understand he's getting more opportunities this year, but I feel like last year he wasn't getting consistent opportunities because he wasn't as consistent on the mound. You do well, you get more chances. I get that. From your vantage point, what's been different about Phillips last year to this year so far?
I can't really speak to anything physically, but just it looks like he's flipped a mental switch up there. Like I said, he's in attack mode rather than thinking, oh, I gotta, nibble here or paint here.
Yeah.
I don't want to catch too much of the plate. This guy might hit it out. He looks like he's kind of just realizing, hey, I throw 97 with cut. I'm gonna let it eat and see how far these guys can hit it.
Realizing I am one of those bad guys,
Yes.
and let me go act like it. You talked about solo home runs don't get you beat. It's funny you mentioned that Liam Doyle gave up a mammoth shot to Blake Sire on Friday night that went over, that cleared the porches. I'm pretty sure. Just a mammoth shot. And this is interesting. Like, I mean, it's good for him to go through this adversity because again, he wasn't going to just cruise through SEC play like he did in non-conference. But man, he worked, he labored. No, outside of the first inning, nothing was easy. It felt like, I mean, we were joking up in the press box, like, man, I'm worn out watching him pitch because it just felt like everything was just so stressful into the start. Like, it didn't feel like he was bad, but it's like, oh man, like, whoo, this is a rough one. Into the start, 4 2/3, 1 run, 3 hits. Strikeouts were down. I think he had 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. Like, still a very solid outing, but what did you pick up on from Liam Doyle? Really, his first adversity that he's had here at Tennessee.
Yeah, credit to Florida, and I'm gonna say his name wrong, but Nadeau or Nadeau at the
Yeah,
top of the
yeah.
lineup. I mean, I think I heard on the broadcast he saw close to 30 pitches that night from maybe it was from all Tennessee pitchers, but certainly he saw a lot from Doyle. But yeah, I mean I think that's good for Liam to go through that. He's the last 50 pitches he threw, although he didn't give up many runs, were pretty stressful situations and pitches. And there was, like you said, he was laboring. So I think an experience like that is only going to make you better in the future. And he certainly handled himself well.
Yep, he definitely did. Dylan Loy, another key takeaway from this weekend for me. I just think he's gotten so good, man. Not that I thought he was good last year. Don't get me wrong. He's put on some really good weight. I think he's throwing harder consistently, and I know that's not what you're after as a pitcher. When so many people are after that nowadays, that's not what Frank and Tony are about. It, high velo and all that. But his velo's up. He's a real weapon for Tennessee, man. I mean, they pitched the crap out of him since he's come back from. He was slow to start. He missed the first week or so of the season. I think Deloy is not just one of those versatile guys that you have in your back pocket. He's now a guy that you can literally throw him in there in any situation. And so far, he's performing. I mean, he hasn't given up a run. He's gone through almost 9 innings pitched, 15 strikeouts. I want to say one walk. He was really good this past weekend.
Yeah, the biggest thing I noticed was the like you said, he can pitch in any situation, but specifically the lefties that he was facing looked pretty uncomfortable against him. There was some pretty uncomfortable swings against Deloy. It just doesn't look like a fun at bat for a lefty up there. And same thing as Marcus, he's attacking hitters and trusting his defense.
Look about some of these other relievers that came into the game. Nate Snead, couple saves. Again, just it's not even fair when you can unleash Nate Snead twice on a weekend, 37 pitches on Friday, and then however many threw on Sunday. It's just not fair. But Tegan Coons, he started Sunday's game, and I thought he looked really good. And obviously, there was a clear plan for Frank and Tony. They wanted to let him get through the lineup once, and then turn it over to the bullpen. Man, I'm sitting there. I'm like, no, don't go get him. Like, I mean, you saw guys warming up. Like, you knew what they were doing. I was like, no, let him go. I mean, he was humming, man. He only threw 33 pitches. In his start against Arizona, he threw 37. I'd really like to see him kind of stretch out until AJ's back and pitching in games. I think Tegan Coons can give you, 3-4 innings at minimum on Sundays. I thought he looked really good. And talking about attacking hitters, I love the way he attacks the zone.
Yeah, I had the same thought. I was kind of wanting him to get a few more innings there, but I mean they're always going to be careful with
Yeah.
guys coming back from injury, and you can understand that. But again, that's another guy getting his first SEC experience, and that's going to be huge for the team going forward. You talk about guys like getting guys back like AJ in the future, but until then, as much experience as some of these young guys can get, the better.
All right, I talked about with Xander last week, just kind of flipping that switch from non-con to SEC play. Tennessee 3-0 against Florida, sweeping the Gators. Now you're going on the road. This is going to be the first true road environment you've been in. 2 years ago, Como was not good to begin the season. Last year, Alabama. Funny that's the last time Tennessee's lost back-to-back games. That's the last time Tennessee's lost a series. Going to Alabama. What's it like playing at Alabama, and kind of what's that mindset that for the first time, you and I talked about going to Houston and kind of going through that experience of being on the road and when is BP and what time is room check and all that and more. But now you're going to an SEC venue where nobody's going to be your friend.
Yeah, I mean it was good experience, I'm sure, to go to Houston and play in that tournament, but this is going to be the first real hostile environment that they play in. So it'll be a good experience for them. Like you said, they beat us last year. I think Coach Vaughn does a good job down there. So and they got a good team this year, so it's going to be another challenge, just like it was this weekend.
All right, Charlie, out the door, man. What do you want to see from Tennessee this weekend, and what's maybe something else that's caught your eye that we didn't discuss here on the show?
I mean, we've been talking about it the last couple times I've been on, but Reese Chapman looks strong still. I mean, he muscled that ball through the wind
Yeah.
400 feet to get out there in center field. But yeah, I love seeing the defense. I want to keep seeing guys making plays. One thought I did have is that defensive lineup at the end of the game, if we can have Dean continue to progress at first base, that's pretty strong defensive lineup.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt when you have four shortstops on the field at one time. Like, no,
No.
hold on. If you count Jay, so you'll have Dean at first, Gavin at second, Ariel at short, Manny at third, Jay in left. That's five shortstops on the field at one time. That's incredible, right? I mean, that's a coach's dream. But to your point, I know you guys did that last year with Ariel and with you coming in to catch a lot in 23 and last year. Just kind of speaks to the depth and the culture too of this team. I mean, you're in that dugout. I mean, I'm sure Cal or whoever, Evan Russell or whoever was probably just like, no, man, I don't want to get out of this game. But no, it's like, okay, yeah, man, let's go get it. Like that's a ball club you want to be a part of.
Yeah, that's huge, and I mean it's gonna show up in a lot of these tight games as it normally does in the SEC. And then back to your question on what it's like playing at different places. I mean, you use that Thursday night practice to get a feel for the field and stuff like that. I kind of remember Bama's surface maybe being a little that dirt. It was a little firmer than what the turf that we typically play on back home. So you're getting your ground ball reps that Thursday night and Friday before the game, and there's little stuff like that that you might not think about or is can be important throughout the weekend.
I think I asked Luke this at one time over the last couple of years or whatever, but it seems silly to even say this because you grew up playing baseball on grass and dirt. I get it. But you play on turf every single day. You practice on turf every single day. Is there a big difference when you go out to a real grass dirt baseball field compared to what you've been playing on?
I personally think the turf is pretty forgiving, and you can kind of predict what kind of bounces you're gonna get. On the dirt, you kind of you can't be afraid to chest one up, or maybe have some kind of thing that you're doing to secure the ball a little extra. It's definitely a change of pace, and it's not something that maybe the average fan thinks about, but it is important getting there the Thursday before a series, or we typically practice at Stanford before the SEC tournament and just getting reps on the dirt because it's a totally different feel.
Charlie, as always, man, appreciate it. Look forward to catching up maybe next week or certainly the week after that. We're getting down into it, man. Tennessee and SEC play.
Sounds good. Looking forward to the weekend.
Great stuff as always there from VFL, former Tennessee catcher Charlie Taylor, looking back at the wins over the Florida Gators, what impressed him, and kind of getting ready for life on the road in SEC play. How's Tennessee going to respond? I'm excited to watch. Short week, a lot going on. NCAA basketball tournament. Tennessee's playing tonight or Thursday night as well, so a lot of distractions, but it's nothing but ball, but nothing but the diamond for Tennessee baseball as they look to get back into the win column, leave Tuesday earlier in the week and move on and continue to try to pick up wins 4, 5, and 6 in SEC play. All right, so my coverage plans for the weekend, I'm going to stay home on Thursday night. I'm going to be doing stuff for the Locked On Vols podcast after the basketball game. I'll still be covering the game, be in the game thread. I'll have all the write-ups, all the videos that they send from Thursday nights. Going to get in the car and go down to Tuscaloosa. I'm going to cover Friday night's game and Saturday afternoon's game, so I'll have coverage. Volquest will be down there for the last 2 games of the series, but we'll be here in the game thread watching the game with you guys on a Thursday night. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing how Tennessee responds, and excited to watch more good baseball. It should be a really good baseball series. 2 really good teams. I'm excited to see the Tennessee Bats bounce back, and we'll have all the coverage for you right here at Volquest.com. Big thanks, as always, to the proud presenting sponsors of The Porch. That is Spivey, King & Spivey, LLP. If you got a problem, let them find a solution for you. TN Trial Lawyers. For Charlie Taylor, I'm Eric Kane. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on The Porch. It is a Volquest Baseball Podcast.